Hello everyone, welcome to a reading of my story that I wrote during secondary school, or high school if you want, but I don't know much about high school, so this is called Innuendo, titled from a Queen song, because I like them very, very much. I actually named all my chapters after Queen songs. This first chapter is called I'm Going Slightly Mad. Moments in a mental hospital. Mental institute. Waking up. Has there ever been a scarier thing than waking up? Have you ever been in a dream wondering, is this the real life or just fantasy? Have you ever woken up in your room and thought, I'm awake? Then you needed to know for sure that you were awake. But then you heard a scary sound and saw something odd, and then you tried to reach for something that you knew would indicate that you are awake. Those moments when you lie there, scared, and possibly alone, unable to grab what you are trying to grab. You try to scream, move, or do anything in your power to end this nightmare. As you then see an unusual silhouette of something you didn't see as you are finally able to move. It then screams and moves quickly towards you. Then you wake up in your bed, heart pounding so fast, petrified of the dark. You then instantly, as fast as you can, turn on something with light, and question, what the hell just happened? After this event takes place, you don't and are too afraid to go back to sleep. You stay up to try and calm yourself down after the trauma until you safely fall asleep and wake up to the sound of your alarm in the morning. This has been the most terrifying thing for years, and it won't stop, because when you awaken from that nightmare, you're still in one. 10 years later, the year is 1980. It has been 10 years since that happened to me. Happened to me a lot of times, not just once. Kept happening in the institute, and I will never forget it. But now I'm out of the institute, and I'm finally free of the pain, fear, torture I had to endure. I'm happy, so happy, and I'm doing all right. The following night, James walked home in the dark, slowly afraid, because the trauma still haunts him to this very day. He then, on the street, heard uncomfortable sounds that sounded like a bush rattling. He quickly looked to the bush and saw nothing. James was thankful that there was nothing there and took a gasp of relief. But then, the street lamp down the street started to flicker on and off. It flickered on, and James saw a shadowy figure. And then the light flickered off and back on again. There remained nothing but utter silence. He whispered to himself, I'm going slightly mad. After this event, making him very anxious, he started to speed up to get home to safety and calm himself down. Downtown apartment is our next location. I think this was the last time I put in any... No, actually, no, I think I kept going with locations. It's kind of something I was doing. Anyway, James finally reached home safely. He decided to put on the TV and make some food in the process. He decided to make a chicken pie because that was his favorite food. He also decided to add some salads such as coleslaw, tomato, etc. Whilst he was doing this, the TV started to static. James turned around and wondered, what the heck? He continued to the TV to fix it, and make the static stop. James then went back to making the food, and his bedroom door started to open. The door was making a creaking sound. This was happening while James was cutting his tomato. Sorry, I can't take that line seriously. Does she have a creepy ass door in the story opening, and then you just tell him that's what's happening while he's cutting a tomato? Sorry. I've lost where I am. This is what this was happening while James was cutting his tomatoes. He stopped, looked up, and turned around slowly at the door. James approached the room and went in and looked around. He walked in and had a good look around, and then the room's door slammed shut. Bang! James shouted, "What the?" and shouted out, "Who's there?" James then heard a faint voice of a person who lived in his apartment a while ago, a few years back. "Why are you here?" James replied with saying, "I live here." James quickly asked, with slight fear in his voice, "Who are you and what do you want?" The voice didn't reply, but the TV in the living room started to static. James tried to turn it off, but it wouldn't turn off. James started to panic because this never happens, and he then shouted, "Turn off, goddammit!" The TV turned off immediately after this occurred. James tried to turn it back on, and it wouldn't turn on. James then talked quietly, "So you think this is funny, do you?" The silence responded with yes. James shouted, "Well, it isn't." James then decided to try to go to sleep to pass the night of terror and confusion. James went into his bedroom and locked the door and ensured it would not open, and laid on his bed, closed his eyes and went to sleep. The very next day, James went back to work. James informed his best friend, Matt, of the horrible amount of confusion. James got Matt after work and took him to his apartment. James said with slight anger and fear, "So a ghost came in here and broke my TV. When I tried to return it, the guy in the store said that it was a nice try to get a new TV, but it ain't gonna work." James took a breath and continued to say what he said to the clerk in the store. "That is not even slightly what I am trying to do right now." James left the store and went back home. Matt replied with a confused face and said to James, "I don't even know what the heck happened. Are you sure you're not just going slightly mad?" James felt insulted and replied to Matt, "Don't you think that if I was mad, I would know that I am mad?" James took a deep breath and waited for Matt to reply, to try and figure out what to do with the TV. James tried again and again to fix it. The best he could do, but it just wouldn't work. James shouted, "If you don't work, the hammer will fall on you, you stupid piece of technology." James said, "Oh, what the hell, I don't care anymore," and went to get food. Conveniently, there was a local diner, with not very expensive food, so James decided to go there. But on the way, James saw the shadow figure again. James looked at it and decided to run over and make sure it wasn't his mind playing tricks on him. Okay. James then decided to stop before he lost his mind. and decided to leave his annoying TV and went outside to a local diner and was going to order food he most enjoyed. Seems like the story goes back a bit. James wanted to run over to the other side of the street, but then his mind became blurry. See, that top line I just read before this line shouldn't be there. Interesting. Do we have a pen? Yes, we do. Because good story needs editing every now and then. I think this is the first time I've actually gone through it. Why is my pen not working? Fine, I'll use a different color. There, now it's working. Alright. James wanted to run over to the other side of the street, but then his mind became blurry, and he just started to fall down to the ground backwards. James, lying there on the street, noticed a figure was coming to him, and he then realized he couldn't move and started to panic. The figure then said in a soft tone of voice, "Are you okay, sir?" Jeez, a bit of Constable Hudson snuck in there. James, lying there, was confused because he thought, that's the wrong one, he thought he saw a shadow, but it was just a normal man. James then found the ability to move again. James said to the man, "What the hell just happened?" The man replied to James, "I don't know, I just saw you falling to the ground and ran over you." James replied, "Oh, I gotta go, but thanks for the help." James started to run to his apartment. The man shouted, "You really should go and check that out, get that checked out." James arrived in his apartment. He looked around and said, "Oh, you can't do this to me. Just gotta get out. Just gotta get right out of here." James quickly grabbed what he needed, but then the door slammed shut, and James didn't look back at the door. James continued to run into his room and grabbed a duffel bag and filled it with necessary things like clothes, toothpaste, and a hammer for self-defense. But he didn't put the hammer in the bag just yet. He ran out of his room and went to the door, and the door was carved into, and it read, "No." So James tried to pull it open, and he couldn't. So James smashed it with a hammer to get out. He just about got out and ran for the bus station. Once James had arrived, he said to himself, "I don't know what I'm going to do or where I'm going to go, but I ain't staying here. The show must go on." Now, how about we do the next chapter in a different video? Because that seems like the best opportunity for everyone. So if you enjoyed chapter 1, let me know your thoughts down below, and hope you'll join me in the next chapter, or the next episode, or whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Thank you for tuning in to Jackos.